This amazing woman, I mean, she is so brave. She has been out there for years. When it was politically incorrect to say the words, she was saying them. And so she should be getting a Virginia Women for Trump Hero Award next time. Because she truly is a hero. So thank you, Brigitte, and over to you. Just go as long as you like.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you for the warm welcome, and what a great event. Alice, congratulations. Great event. Wow. You know, no one can say no to Alice, as you can see. So I am here today, and I am honored to be here. And it is so special to recognize so many faces that I have known and I have worked with before and in so many different areas. We have heard wonderful stories and wonderful laughter, but I'm going to talk about something much more serious, and that is our national security and why we need to stand with our president and support him in his national security initiative. And today I'm going to talk about destiny, not only national security, because today we are here celebrating a man who knew for decades that he was destined to one day, if he is called upon, if he felt that he needed to, he will run for president of the United States to save our nation if our nation needed him. If you watch Donald Trump interviews back 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when he was asked, would you ever consider running for president? He would always say, if I feel we are at a time in our country where I need to serve in that capacity, I will run for president. And he did. There are few people in life who recognize their purpose early on in life and recognize that they have an appointment with destiny. And today, I hope that after my presentation, each and every one of you will ask yourself, was today my appointment with my destiny? You know, everyone in life has a defining moment. America had a defining moment on 9/11. 9/11 changed the way we think, changed the way we watch television, changed the way we go about our lives. So today, I'm going to be talking to you not only as a political analyst about issues we need to be concerned about, but I hope I'm going to inspire you to think about where you are in life, what brought you here today to this room, to be here since 1 o'clock, and I'm sure some of you left your homes at 12 to get here at 1, and some of you traveled from many places, that you would ask yourself, now I know why I came to this event. Because obviously, if you did not love our country, if you did not love President Trump, if you did not support what Alice was trying to do in this birthday party, and that is honoring the birth of a man who is leading our nation today when America is standing at the crossroads of history. And we are honored to be here celebrating his birthday. And now I'm going to get into the serious stuff. We are dealing with the rise of radicalism and Islamic terrorism across the globe, no matter what country people live in, no matter what language they speak. As I'm speaking to you right now, there are 44 conflicts around the world between radical Islamists and non-Muslims, regardless what country these non-Muslims live, regardless what language they speak, regardless what color their skin is. 44 conflicts around the world today. America has been attacked by radical Islam under different administrations since the 70s, whether we had a Republican or a Democratic administration. It didn't start with 9/11, 2001. America was attacked the first time under the Carter administration, with Khomeini coming to power in 1979 with the hostages in Iran. He was a Democrat. America was attacked again under the Ronald Reagan administration. In 1983 in Lebanon with the bombings of the Marines in Beirut. America was attacked again under George Bush Sr. administration. America was attacked again under the Clinton administration, a Democrat. It was actually under President Clinton that the World Trade Center was attacked the first time in 1993. At that time, George Bush Jr. and Dick Cheney were not even a blurb on the political American landscape. And then America was attacked again in 2001 under George Bush. And then people said, if we just get rid of George Bush and elect President Obama, all our sins are going to be forgiven. The whole world is going to sing Kumbaya. Obviously, that did not happen. Because 2 days after President Obama came to power, Osama bin Laden issued a statement saying, we continue our jihad against the United States regardless of who lives in the White House. And today we have President Trump, a Republican. And radical Islamists are on the march nationwide, worldwide, and they are growing by the minute. So the national security issue is an American issue. It's not a Democratic issue. It's not a Republican issue. It's not a libertarian issue. It's an American issue. And I'm going to share with you why I am so passionate about this issue. A lot of people ask me all the time, Brigitte, where does this passion come from? Every time we hear you, you are full of energy. You are so passionate about this subject. I am passionate about this subject because this issue affected my life personally. My 9/11 happened to me in 1975 when radical Islamists blew up my home, bringing it down, burying me under the rubble wounded, as they shouted, Allahu Akbar. I ended up in a hospital for 2.5 months. And as I laid in a hospital bed, hooked up to IVs in both arms, going from one surgery to another, I would ask my parents, why did they do this to us? And my father would tell me, because we are Christians, the Muslims consider us infidels, and they want to kill us. So I learned since I was a 10-year-old little girl that I am wanted dead simply because I was born into the Christian faith and lived in a Christian town. Whether I practiced my religion or not, it was irrelevant in my enemy's eyes. I belonged to that group living in that town. I ended up leaving the hospital and coming back home. But the hospital, my home, was no longer the home I left. I ended up living in a bomb shelter underground in an 8-by-10 room without electricity, without water, and very little food. To get some food, we would crawl out under the bombs, and we would dig out dandelions and different greenery that grew around our bomb shelter because it was the only vegetables we had to eat. To get some water, we would crawl to a nearby spring where my mother had to use her stocking on top of the gallon of water to catch all the rocks and all the junk and all the dirt so we can drink the water. And every time we left our bomb shelter to go to the spring to get the water, we would say our last goodbyes because we did not know if we're going to come back alive or dead just to get a drink of water, because we were surrounded by Islamic snipers set up around our town shooting at us. We lived underground. We didn't have any electricity. It was so cold in the wintertime. We lived in the mountains. And many nights, my father would go out and he would break twigs from the trees and bring them into the bomb shelter and light a fire so we can warm up. He would pour kerosene or benzene or mazout and he would light a fire. And we didn't have any ventilation. We only had one entrance into our bomb shelter. And we would huddle around the fire to warm up. And many nights, we had an agreement. Whoever woke up first would drag the other two outside and slap them on their face to wake up. Because many nights, we would pass out because of carbon monoxide poisoning, because we didn't have any ventilation. And this became my life. I lived in that bomb shelter for 7 years, from the age of 10 till the age of 17, robbed of my youth. A lot of you are so used to seeing me talk on Fox News. And a lot of people do not even know my story or my background. So I felt it was appropriate to share this with you a little bit in order for you to understand where my passion comes from. 3 years into our ordeal, we knew how much massacres were going on in Lebanon and how the radical Islamists were organized, killing people. Actually, the Lebanese civil war started when a radical Islamist walked into a church and started shooting at worshipers on Sunday morning. We laid in that bomb shelter, forgotten. And my father would say, one day, America's going to wake up and come to save the Christians in Lebanon. One day, Australia's going to come. All these Christian nations are going to come. Canada's going to come. France, Britain. And we waited, and no one came. 3 years into our ordeal, a friend of ours one day stopped by. And he said, Brigitte, we heard a lot of chatter on the radios. And we believe we're going to be attacked tonight. And I don't think we're going to last. We're not going to be able to save the town. And he said, if I don't see you tomorrow, I wish you a merciful death. And he hugged me and left. And I remember at the age of 13, putting on my Sunday best, my Easter dress, because I wanted to look pretty when I am dead, knowing that when they come to slaughter me, there would be no one to bury me. And I remember my mother combing my long black hair down to my hips and tying a white ribbon in my hair that matched the white daisies in my blue dress as I sobbed, begging her, I don't want to die. I'm only 13 years old. I don't want to die. Please do something. And there was nothing my mother could say to me. And I remember sitting in the bomb shelter with my parents, holding each other's hands, and my father opened up the Bible and started reading from Psalms. I shall walk into the valley of death and fear no evil, for thou art with me. And my parents said to me, if they come to slaughter us tonight, we will create a distraction. We just want you to run towards the Israeli border and never look back. You see, we lived 5 kilometers from the Israeli border. And we knew if we run to the Jews and beg for help, the Jews are not going to kill us because we had more shared values with them than we had with the radical Muslims. Thank God I didn't have to make that difficult decision that night, because that's the night when Israel came in physically into Lebanon and established the security zone and set up artillery bases on the hills surrounding our town. And this is how we survived for another 5 years until 1982. In 1982, that's when Israel came in physically into Lebanon. And Israel was working with the Lebanese Christians, trying to help the Christians take back their democracy and kick out the radical Islamic element that had taken control of the country at that time. Because by the time Israel came in 1982, we had 11 Islamic terrorist organizations operating out of Lebanon, including the PLO. That's how we came out of the bomb shelter and back to rebuilding our lives. I was so fortunate to be able to move to Israel in 1984 and become a news anchor for World News in the Middle East, covering world events and reporting on world events. And as I read the news night after night, and that was in the 80s, I started realizing there was a pattern developing. Because no matter what the name, where the terrorist activity took place, no matter what location, the name of the perpetrators were always Muslims. Ahmed, Muhammad, Hussein, Ali. And the name of the victims were always Westerners, Christians and Jews. Terry Wade, Terry Anderson, Colonel Higgins, the Achille Lauro, the TWA. And I started realizing that what I used to think was a regional problem between a majority Muslim Middle East trying to either kill or expel the minority Christians and Jews had become a worldwide problem. But the world was not paying attention. The world was not connecting the dots. And isn't this exactly what the 9/11 Commission report said to us? We lacked imagination. It's not that we did not know what the terrorists wanted to do to us. It's not that we did not know what Al-Qaeda wanted to do to us. After all, we have never been faced with an enemy that tells us exactly how much they hate us, why they hate us, what they want to do to us, how they want to kill us, what is their goal. They're being very honest, but we continued burying our head in the sand, pretending the problem did not exist, hoping it's going to go away on its own. Al-Qaeda attacked the World Trade Center the first time in 1993. They attacked the Kubar Towers in 1995. They attacked our embassies in Kenya and Tanzania in 1997. They attacked the USS Cole in 2000. And then they were so confident that we were so asleep and so apathetic that they came back and re-attacked the World Trade Center the second time in 2001, and this time bringing the buildings down, killing almost 3,000 Americans on that day, attacking the Pentagon, and bringing America to its knees. That day changed our lives. And I want to make very clear here, I am talking about radical Muslims. Let me repeat, I am here talking about radical Muslims. There are great, wonderful people around the world, Muslims who want to have nothing to do with radicalism. They just want to work, put food on their table, and have a normal life like you and I. There are plenty of Muslims in America who do not want to destroy us. But it is the radicals that matter. People ask me, why should we care? Because it is the radicals that drive the agenda. It is the radicals that kill. It is the radicals that behead people. There are 1.6 billion Muslims in the world today. If 1% is radical, 1%, I'm not going to say any more, and we all know that it's far more than 1%. That's 16 million people. 16 million right now walking around the world plotting our destruction, the destruction of Western civilization. The moderate majority is irrelevant. They're not the ones flying planes onto the World Trade Center. And that's why you always hear me talk about the radicals and terrorism and what we need to do to protect ourselves. As I mentioned, 9/11 was a defining moment for the United States. We all did the same thing on 9/11. We watched television in horror. We could not believe that somebody can hate us so much that they would hijack airplanes and use them as human missiles and fly them into buildings. 9/11 was not only a defining moment for the United States. 9/11 was a defining moment for me. On that day, my daughters came home from school. I have 2 young daughters. And my youngest daughter at the time was around my age, the one you know. She walked into the room after coming from school, and she said to me, watching the images of the World Trade Center tumble again and again, "Mommy, why did they do this to us?" And I found myself repeating to my daughter the same word my father had said to me when I was her age, laying in a hospital bed in Lebanon. They hate us because they consider us infidels and they want to kill us. Here we were, 2 generations apart. I was a young Lebanese girl, she's a young American girl. I spoke Arabic, she speaks English. 8,000 miles away, 2 continents away, 30 years apart. I had to repeat to my daughter exactly what my father said to me. That day was my defining moment. That day is the day I vowed that I will do everything I can to make sure that my daughter will never ever have to look into her child's eyes and repeat to him or to her what my daddy told me and what I had to tell her. That's the day I was reborn as an activist. Thank you. Thank you. That's the day I was reborn as an activist. I laid on my couch for a week. September 11th happened on a Tuesday morning. By Sunday, I was reliving all the pain and all the agony, watching the images on television. I could smell the smoke that they were showing on television because I know what it smells like. I hear the wailing of parents looking for their children. I know what that sounds like with my parents calling my name as I was buried under the rubble. And I said to myself, what can I do to make a difference? How can I make a difference for my country? And that's when I decided I'm going to travel and I'm going to educate millions of uninformed Americans about the threat of radical Islam to world peace and our national security. And I formed an organization called ACT. And I started traveling and I started speaking. And by 2006, I realized we can educate until the cows come home. Nothing is going to change. Education is important, but education by itself is not sufficient. Education must be coupled with action. And that's when I launched Act for America, our lobbying arm, in 2007. And I'm proud to tell you that Act for America today is the largest national security grassroots organization in the country, with 750,000 members and 1,000 chapters nationwide. And I think we have some of our chapter leaders here. I know Marie, our chapter leader, stand up. She's our chapter leader from Long Island. Any other chapter leaders here in the audience? Here we go. The one and only Alice. Because I'm a firm believer that when you believe in something so much, when you are on fire for what you believe in, people will drive miles to watch you burn. A spark ignites a fire, and all you need in your heart is a spark. I'm a firm believer that no matter what trials and tribulation you go through in life, they are nothing but a preparation so you can be used as an instrument of change in life to make your world a better place, to make your family a better family, to make your community a better community. Every single one of us in life is prepared to make a difference. I started Act for America out of my guest bedroom. The address was 2420 ... Suite 201, which meant upstairs for a room on the right. That was my guest bedroom. And that's how I started Act for America. I remember going and bought Office Max and buying a solder, one of those solder desks. If any of you have ever been poor enough to buy one of those, it's like some cheap $150 that looks like a $3,000 mahogany desk that my husband took the whole day to screw it all together, put it together, and it took 3 people to carry it to position, to place, some cheap old thing, and that was my office. And look where we are today. Many of you have seen our rallies last 2 weeks ago. Rallies against Sharia nationwide. Act for America put it together. Thank you. We were able to mobilize 29 cities, rallies in 29 cities in 21 states across the country. And because of that, we were able to add 250,000 members, which shows you that when you take a stand for something and when you speak your mind and when you're not shy, people will stand with you. People will take notice. People that used to Google Sharia before our rallies, they typed in Sharia 7,000 times, people wondering what Sharia is. After our rally, it went up to the millions, multi-millions, people Googling Sharia and finding out what Sharia law is all about. So today, we have a mission, every single one of us. Every single one of us. We have been so fortunate to have President Trump now as president elected, to turn the ship around, to correct the country, to reverse the damage that President Obama did for the last 8 years. But our work is not done. Our work has just begun. We finally made it to the White House, and now we have to keep the White House for the next 8 years and beyond. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure that happens. I want you to look into your heart, and every single one of you say to yourself, what am I doing today to serve my country? Other than just showing up on a Sunday and having a cup of tea. What action am I taking to making my country a better place? To take a stand in what I believe in, the values of America that made America great, the values and the freedoms that we cherish so much. What are we doing to protect them? Because we are slipping from under our hands. People complain about America. People are embarrassed of America. We are sick and tired of those who hate our country. Sick and tired of it. America is the greatest nation on earth. And what makes President Trump so unique is he is the proudest American president we have had in recent history. Who doesn't give a flying kite what the world thinks of us, whether the world approves of us or not, whether our own people approve of what we're doing. Those who hate America inside America, who are embarrassed of America, who do not want to be in America. By golly, we tell them we'll buy you a one-way ticket to get the hell out of here and back to whatever hellhole you came from. You know, America is not perfect. We have our own problems. We want people to come to America who love America. And I'm going to talk about immigrants because I am a very proud immigrant, as is Alice. We both had to go down to the courthouse, raise our hands, and pledge our allegiance to the United States as Americans. And when I look around this room, I see a tapestry of color. People from all backgrounds, from all colors, from all ethnicities, from all nationalities who came to this country to be Americans, to become a part of the American fabric. That's why we're here. If our countries were so hot, we would be still there and not sitting over here in Washington, D.C. And we want people to come to America who are like us, who want to become American and contribute to this country and say, what can I do to make America better? Not to suck off America's goodness and take it and send it back to wherever they're sending it to. Those immigrants we do not want. Close our borders now and demand the security of the country. That's what we want in America. And by the way, while I'm on a roll, I believe English is the official language of the United States and shall remain so. My people! I love you, my people! I'm with the right people. I love you, family. Hoo-hoo. Okay, now that I get you all riled up and excited, okay, here's what I'm going to talk to you about. I'm going to talk to you about solutions. I am here not only to excite you, I am here to get you engaged, to inspire you. I told you I'm going to make today your defining moment. We all know that there is a problem in the country. How many of you are you willing to act for America today and become more engaged on your daily lives? Raise your hand. I want to see hands raised. Good. Now, the first thing you're going to do when you go home, you're going to go sign up at actforamerica.org. So you can get our information. We named the organization Act for America. Not think about America, not hope for America, not wish for America, not pray for America. We named the organization Act for America. That's right, because without taking action, you have just been entertained for the last 2 hours. You might as well be watching Dancing with the Stars. Act for America is where it's at. Now, I'm proud to tell you that Act for America has passed 81 bills in 32 states relating to national security and 12 bills on the federal level. And I cannot talk about the passage of bills without recognizing Lisa Perenio, our Director of Government Relations, who heads up our legislation. This is our powerhouse who goes in and out of Congress and supports our allies and pushes for our bills, backed by 750,000 members. Now, here's the good news on how you can get engaged. Not only you can sign up for Act for America to get our emails and action alerts, but when you came in here today in your program, there's a sign-up sheet for our national conference. Act for America is having a national conference October 2nd and 3rd in Washington, actually at the Marriott Gateway Crystal City. October 2nd and 3rd. We need you there. We have the most incredible speakers for 2 days, me included. So if you liked what you heard in the last 20 minutes, just think how much you're going to love what you're going to hear for 2 days straight. We have a legislative briefing on Capitol Hill every year. We have an average of 15 members of Congress talking to us, asking questions and participating. You will be able to meet members of Congress. You will be able to participate in the legislative awards that we do, the subject matter experts that we're going to have. We have an amazing lineup of speakers, and I need you there, especially those of you who live in Washington, D.C. Early bird special ends next week in 7 days. So right now, anybody here who signs up to attend our national conference, you will not only be taking advantage of the early bird special, but you will get a free book autographed by me as a thank you, and we're going to have book signing here at the end. So those of you who are in Washington, D.C., or within a driving distance to Washington, D.C., early bird special ends next Friday. We want you there. We want you with us. We want elected officials to be able to look at the room and say, my gosh, America is waking up and we better do the right thing by America. Because elected officials understand one thing, re-election. Yes, thank you. This is what we need to do to make a difference. One person can make such an incredible impact. Just imagine when there's a room full of us, when there's a nation full of us standing behind the president and supporting the president in his national security policies and everything that he is able to do. And I'm going to wrap with this. It is my honor and privilege to meet each and every single one of you and be here with you today. People ask me all the time, Brigitte, don't you get depressed talking about national security and radical Islam and terrorism? I tell them, of course I do. I'm a human being just like you. But what keeps me so energized is when I travel across our incredible country and I meet people like you who come here and take the time out of their busy schedule to hear me speak. I am humbled by your presence. And I want to especially thank those who came up to me and say, I drove here to this event just for you, to hear you. Thank you. You honor me with your presence. Thank you so much, every single one of you. May God bless you. May God bless our country. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.